Yeah, we're on.
Thank you both for being here today, and we are just enough to form a quorum, so we are going to go ahead with the meeting. Here's the apologies. Everyone happy to accept apologies from Councillors Chesser, Davis and King?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Declarations of interest, I suspect none. No.
Don't think so.
Representations from interested parties, unless you've anything to report. Lisa was saying none.
No.
Previous minutes, anybody got any comments on those? There's just enough of us to approve them. I was happy with them.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Do you have a copy for me to sign? Oh, here they are.
I was just going to say.
That's just a joke.
Just, no, I probably might
I had
brain
seen
it
the
a minute.
first thing, and then
Do we need to,
So are you proposing it, Liz?
yes.
Ian,
I'm seconding it.
You know.
For disposal for it.
Thank you.
Take your copy.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I know it is mine. Exactly.
It appeared after the last meeting. I thought, I'm sure that's Rebecca's. I'm sure it is. So
It's a bit harsh. You get one, we don't.
No, it is empty.
it's a booming mug.
Income and expenditure. Has anybody got any points to make that we haven't really said in the past? Everything seemed to be running along. All the overspends we knew about are still there, of course, in March, and all the underspends we knew about are pretty well there as well. So, as expected. The properties and open spaces report, I will suggest that we go through that as part of the detailed agenda. I don't think there's anything else on there that we're not going to cover. And so the action plan and progress update similarly, unless anyone noticed anything on there that they want to bring up that isn't otherwise on the agenda. So the 3-year rolling maintenance action plan, and Ian has given you another version. So Lisa has sent us what she currently works with, and clearly, you know, there's a lot of stuff on there which is a good start, but I think that we had understood it was going to be more of a dated programme in the way that Ian has set out. So for regular items that come up every year, that they're definitely diaried effectively, and then where we know of things that we'd like to do, which are larger projects, we start to build them into this, and that way it starts to give a structure to future budgets and allows us to plan resources. So it's a mix of what you've started with, Lisa,
Mm-hmm.
and then, as I said, just reformatting it more into the sort of, I wouldn't necessarily quite set it out like this, but however, independent software you've got as to how it might come out nicely. Yours is more of just a list.
Yeah.
Rather than this suggestion that we've made that there's actually dates put against those things.
Yeah.
So do you think if you worked with Ian's
Yes, I'll
format,
try and
you
get
could
an appointment with him at some point.
I can send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great, please. The other thing I think would be probably quite beneficial is if the big review of this is done on the estates tour, because then we can point out bits. I mean, like I noticed the other day, I was looking out the window here. I can't even remember what I was looking at. It was something completely unrelated, but I saw 3 slip tiles on the roof here. And we spoke a while ago when we had that sudden shock with the courthouse roof that we didn't know. We'd spoken about planning for complete surveys of all the roofs, because obviously without going up there, you can't see them and you don't want another shock like that. So we've talked about maybe, so I think in the estates tour, it might be quite good to get some proper detailed bits down for what, you know, when and what year and how and the rest of it.
Who's involved with the estates tour?
Everyone on the estates, well,
Okay.
all
So
of
is
the
that
councillors
something
can come if they want, yeah.
When is that?
It usually happens during the day, which has been problematic for a few people. July, yeah.
That should be fine.
Over you, over me, yeah.
But I'd be really interested in doing that as well. And, yeah.
Well, I mean, we usually tend to try new councillors, ask them to come anyway, so that they're aware of what we own
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
what we look after. So, and it is really beneficial.
I'm not sure a day's enough, is it?
I was just
No,
gonna say,
it was-
it
It's a
won't
long
be.
day.
It is a long day. Because it stretches so far. Yeah.
You can see everything really quickly. But to
But
actually
you don't
look-
Don't get any
Actually,
detail.
So there was
Yeah.
also some talk about doing, was it more than one or breaking it up?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you could do the buildings on one day and the open spaces on
Yeah.
another. as an
Because
example.
ideally, you should be looking inside the buildings as
Yeah,
well. I mean,
exactly.
historically, we've just stood outside the courthouse and gone, yeah, we've got tenants in, everything seems to be going okay.
Mhm.
And just identified things that need doing externally. But really, we could do with a proper inspection inside as well. So you get an idea of, is it looking really shabby and needing to be painted and that sort of thing. So I think it would be quite beneficial to separate it up so we can take a little bit more time looking at these areas.
Is it worth doing it buildings and open spaces, or is it worth doing it geographically?
Yeah,
Think
I
of
don't
an
know,
area.
yeah, I mean, there's.
Because that's the transit.
When you're in an
time.
area,
The
yeah.
transit time is
Yeah.
a bit crazy.
It is, yeah.
And if that was in July, I'd have a bit of time and I'd be more than happy to help in any of the formatting stuff, because that's something I'm quite used to.
Right.
So I'd be more than happy to
Yeah.
take some time and actually sit down and, if that was in a time frame.
Mm.
Sounds good. All I did with this, as I said to you, I was trying to avoid doing some marketing, which worked really well, is I just took the stuff on the actual report today. So for example, the yellow line painting,
Yeah.
in 5 years' time.
Guarantee on that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's always those questions about when did this happen, how did we do it, and if
Yeah.
it's down there, you thought, yeah, it just keeps ticking boxes.
Well,
So that
it's
really is-
easy for reference as well. That's the thing, is it? Like you say, you don't have to delve through all emails and
Yeah.
find old
Yeah.
receipts and invoices to work it out.
So yeah, find a style that everyone likes.
Mhm.
Not and then also keep it live, so that it, you know, it lives.
Well, it also takes just a bit of time to work a proper system out in terms of what does work and what
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
But once that's in place, it's easiest to add to
Exactly.
and work with, isn't it? And adjust. So yeah. Okie doke.
So, we are going to propose to estates that there are 2 dates for the tour. Probably both in July.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, we will continue to populate the 3 to 5 year rolling maintenance action plan, or however many years we decide is appropriate, I think we might say 7. We'll continue to populate that. So let's kind of take that plan off the agenda until then.
Okay.
And say that that's when you, Reb, Ian, whoever, is going to sit down and really try and get something that we can all agree on.
So if I put it on the next agenda for a decision, as in what you've just said, because obviously
Yeah.
on here I just put, oh no, discuss suggestions. No, I did put it on there, sorry. So we can put that. I thought I'd just put to receive it and discuss it.
Discuss
But I've put suggestions and additions, that's okay, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so now we are coming on to the all the different places, and starting with the rugby club. So seems good news on the legal work that's going on.
Yeah, I'm going to chase him again, because obviously he's taken quite some time to catalogue it all and get it all together. But he's at the point of sending out the statements of truth and getting those signed. And then the final thing will be Emma's statement of truth that sort of encapsulates everything. And then I presume it's just a case of submitting it to the land registry. But yeah, that's coming along well. There was something else I needed to update you on the rugby club. No, not the rugby club, it's okay.
So otherwise it's trees. Shall we talk about trees with trees?
Yeah.
Rather
I
than.
put it in both sections for repetition.
Let's talk about trees with trees. Okay, so next one is Fletton House. There's the usual long list of minor or major niggles. It's just forever, isn't it, Lisa?
Snagging.
It is.
76 years. Don't know if I could have described it
So obviously disappointing that more devices failed on the fire alarm required for the replacement. The routine maintenance, everything brings up failures.
It's clear today. He finished replacing the bits that they said they thought would fail, and he's gone away with panel healthy yesterday. Although we did say to him, we'll see you next week then, but hopefully.
It'll be the next time I have to set the alarm, Lisa.
Yeah. But he did.
Can we just pay someone to live here?
Yeah, it probably would be cheaper. But yeah, so what he did find was we'd reported to him that when we came back from lockdown, the monitor, the CCTV monitor that's in the comms room, just keeps going on and off, flickering on and off, and it doesn't give you enough time to actually sign into it. So not an issue, it's still recording, but should we have an issue where we want to go and view the footage, then it's an issue. So the quote for approval tonight is for the replacement monitor and the setup of that.
Is it a special TV?
No, I think it's just a...
Well, being cantankerous, I question the need for quite so many cameras. If you're monitoring entrances, exits and corridors, I'm surprised there are cameras additionally in individual rooms.
No, there's only the corridor ones. What I'm talking about is the monitor.
The TV.
So we've got a monitor in our room that shows you all of the cameras.
Yeah.
Emma's got one in hers, but in the comms room we've got the control unit, as in if there is an issue, to be able to go back to a certain date and time and view it, it's on that computer there, in there. And it's the monitor that's gone on that. I must admit, I did look at that and think if it's just a case of a monitor being taken out and put, a new one put in, we maybe could look to replace it ourselves, although once you start unplugging things and whatnot, I worry about that kind of thing. But I don't know, I can look into it further if you want.
So I'm just going back to find that. Who are, is that the company?
That's with Marlowe, because they installed the CCTV in 2018.
So it's £89 to fit it. During the £63 to buy it. Whether it's just a standard TV or a special, lots of letters up. BGA, VSA, DC12.
Yeah. I mean, my IT guy would immediately say, I'll see if I can get one of those refurbished for you.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, to be honest, like I said, the CCTV wasn't installed until 2018. So that monitor is only 4 years old.
my TV's older than that.
Let me go and have a look at what it is, because I'm sure I looked at it the other day and thought I didn't look anything technical or special.
It didn't occur to me to look on Amazon to see if I could match that price.
No, but that's not even including a cable.
I can't imagine.
Well, I was just thinking, I don't know if it's a special TV, this would be fireproof or
Neon
dragon-proof.
17.
So it's plastic case monitor. That's just
No, yeah, I thought it didn't think it's a Hewlett Packard one that's in there at the moment. So I thought it doesn't sound like a very...
Is it possible, just as a suggestion, for us to approve its replacement, but see if we can replace it for cheaper?
Again, the quote.
Or
Yeah.
not even that, just say we can do this, but before we pay it, can we check that there's a cheaper way and replace it up to that price?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can just ask them, can't they do this any cheaper? And it just,
Okay, yeah. So approved up to that price, but see if we can any
Yeah.
wiggle room in there.
Or
Yeah,
just see if they can get a refurbished one.
Yeah.
Because as you say, it's not crucial, but it will be crucial when it's needed.
Well, in the 4 years we've had it, we've only had to look at the CCTV twice. I mean, I could check.
Why can't you at that point put in just attach a monitor that works? I don't know.
Yeah.
It has to have a dedicated
Well, I was just
monitor.
wondering whether we can't just replay it on Emma's or ours.
Well, if we approve it, but
Okay.
find every possible option, I might have one at home. I don't know.
Yeah, fine.
I've got one sitting around somewhere. So, yeah, I'm happy to propose that we approve it, but do everything we can to not need to spend it.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Which gives you a few weeks to sort of solve it.
Seconder for that?
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okie dokie.
Brilliant, thanks. Anything else anyone wants to say on the Fletton House report from Lisa? Various bits and pieces that have been done.
No, it's just a sad list.
It's just a sad list.
Things and problems and stuff, but.
It's a big building as well, I suppose, that it's always going to be a big list, isn't it?
Although the courthouse has multiple rooms and seems to attract far fewer individuals.
Yeah. I've often said that for a building that's been refurbed not that long ago, it does seem a lot more problematic, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's always something, isn't it?
Mm.
I think we've ever had a month where it's all fun.
No, it's fine.
No.
Okay then, so moving on to the hub, I don't see Emma very much at the moment. You haven't heard any more on the coffee machine?
No, I haven't. It's something to do with the payment method, isn't it, that's delayed
Do
it?
an update on this.
Oh,
Oh.
right, thank you.
I have signed my life away to a company in Israel on the back of it to get the card reader operational.
Is it one of those spy software?
Probably.
things?
I was putting my stuff in, I've been very cautious, but I've had to basically give my children's birth certificates and Lord knows what else away. And they seem happy now.
Because you sold your children.
It's probably really easier to solve my children. It's not been done. It's, either or I'm now being cloned all over the world, wanting. But, that took some time.
Could you tell us actually then what you were doing?
Apparently they decided that,
Who's that?
I can tell you the name, nausea.
So is this the card reader people?
This is just a card reader.
Oh, okay, right.
They, to set up a credit agreement in some way, shape or form, they wanted to have the council to say, we as a council are like this. And there had to be what was that called? Not a principal operating officer, but something like that. Whose name had to be attached to it. With my home address and driving license and everything. And it's all been done on secure uploads, and I signed things and then they weren't signed in the right place, and I had to re-sign them. This is to give Emma the ability to sign on behalf of the council,
All right.
to take 50p for a cup of coffee. So so that took some time, but it now has been done, and that person, someone has confirmed that it's been done. So I think that was a block on everything else happening. That got sorted last week, I think.
Okay. Well, that is good news. Thank you for going to that trouble.
So it's fine.
And on the manager position, I think the last thing I heard from Emma was that the second possible applicant is going to put in an application. But we're just going to re-advertise the job for another couple of weeks in the hope of attracting perhaps another candidate. And if those two people are the only candidates, I've already said we'll interview them both.
I think the advert went live on Twitter or Facebook this afternoon.
Right.
Pop up somewhere.
Yeah. Well, Emma and I were in conversation at the weekend sort of thing, so that's probably right. So that's delayed again, but I wasn't comfortable. I don't think you were at full council, Revan. I didn't feel that choosing from a field of one was quite what we wanted.
No. I don't know if there's a wider recruitment issue at the moment, but we're having a similar problem in my department at work, that we've had advert out now for a good couple of months. We've had no applicants. Zero.
I won't tell that to my trustees tomorrow when I discuss my recruitment for my replacement. They're as anxious as can be already.
We think we'd be much better.
What? Whoever replaces me?
No. I was trying to be nice and I've come over all bad. No, I'm sure it's a process.
Yes, I'm sure it's a national problem, possibly a worldwide problem. I don't know, but
It's interesting.
hopefully someone will come from Ukraine with the right skills and.
But no, it'd be good to have 2 people at least.
Yes. So, but I have said that we will definitely interview both of those at the end of that period and whatever we think then. Okay, so that's where we are with that. Takes us to the QVH and talking, so Lisa gives us an update on things that we previously approved and hurrah for the chairs.
Are they in?
Not yet. No, I'm going to chase it tomorrow. It's about 4 weeks, isn't it? Or just over 4 weeks now.
But we need to make a decision again on asbestos. We've been kind of putting this off and trying to get additional information as to how crucial it is to the insurers and what have you that we have up-to-date asbestos reports everywhere. In fact, really, what's the definition of up-to-date? It's known that we have to have asbestos reports, and our kind of thinking was, well, perhaps if nothing has happened to the building in the meantime, is it not still valid?
Well, specifically, I can't remember which way around it was, the courthouse, because he said in the 2009 report, which I sent to him, there was no asbestos identified in the courthouse. So he said, but if you want a more up-to-date and for me to check, and a different person, it be seen with different eyes kind of thing, because I suppose things can get missed, can't they? But it seemed to be money that we didn't need to spend if there was no asbestos identified in the first place. But then when we checked with the insurer, he said it would be advisable to get an up-to-date report. So sort of answered our question.
I mean, if you ask an insurer,
they're always
Should get a report on
yeah.
you know the answer you're going to get, but once you've asked, you kind of put
And
yourself.
with this in its new format in mind, having a clean slate saying we've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for 1195, we would bring everything up to date, would we?
Yeah, because not needed on here because all the asbestos was removed when they did the refurb. So it's only those 2 buildings. Yeah.
So, I mean, my recommendation is going to be that we say, let's do it.
I think so. It just, as you say, gives a clean slate.
Absolutely, I like this conversation every year for next 5 years, so I'll second it if that's.
Yeah.
All for it. Happy days.
Thank you. Anything else anyone wants to comment on the work that Lisa's had organised? I think I say that's all known to us. So that moves us on to the courthouse. Again, they've been doing their regular testing that all the buildings have had. So that's great. And then we came to the water heater.
Yes, so
Tim's office.
in their office, they have a big butler sink and a water heater underneath. The water heater is cracked, but Emma and I were questioning the need or necessity really to have it replaced because they've got hot running water in a communal kitchen two doors away, literally across the hallway. And obviously directly opposite that office, they've got the toilet with running hot water. So we were just wondering, obviously remove the faulty heater and just leave them with their cold water so that they can use it for their kettle. But do we think it's justified in spending
£320?
320 plus that for a water heater when they have got facilities same as everybody else in that building? So yeah.
What does the water heater do?
heats the water.
Well, obviously. But what's it used for? Is it just for washing up? Or?
I presume they just do their own washing up in their own sink. Yeah.
But there's a communal kitchen that everybody else is using.
Yeah.
So it's extremely unlikely that their lease says that you will have a
The
heater.
use of your own
That's what it
person.
comes down to, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just depends on the contract.
Yeah. So if I just check.
So as long as that doesn't break the terms of their lease agreement in any way, and in fact puts them on the same contractual basis as everybody, all the other tenants, I think you've come up with a winner there, Lisa.
Just try and
water
save money
heater.
where we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. So it's, if needed because of the lease, it's a yes,
Yeah.
clearly,
Mhm.
otherwise it's no.
Okay.
For the minutes, thank you. Then takes us on to car parks, and how lovely to have a bit done at that. I don't very often bring my car, but yes, it is
I'm going
nice.
to drive around actually. Need to.
Yeah, I mean, it was so bad.
It was, yeah. Yeah.
I just hope that all the contractors for the building work at the surgery aren't going to have to bring any heavy equipment through or anything, and they only use that car park.
Yeah, they're not allowed in our car park. It's our car park.
I was surprised how expensive replacement of the yellow lines.
Yeah, and
That
this.
is a lot of money.
None of the other companies that I emailed have come back, but this was the company that when we got all the quotes in for the drill hall, the co-op when we thought we'd have to do it, and the long stay car park, these were the cheapest. I mean, that is quite some time ago. So, I mean, if you want, I can wait and chase up the other quotes. But, yeah.
For what looks like quite a small.
Well, it's 57, is it 57 metres? Because it's got to go
Our installed the same
2040. 50. Yeah, it's about 53 metres, isn't it? 54 metres.
Maybe it's very bendy. Bend machine.
Price of paint these days.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, they do seem to suggest a 10-year lifespan, but it is anticipated.
And to be honest, I hadn't even thought about this. But the gentleman, I think it's Mr. Green from Mason House, phoned me and reported that an elderly lady that was visiting somebody in the bungalows there had parked there on that corner, and he watched the bin man try and get round to empty our bins, and he couldn't get round. And he said she's literally parked there, even though the car park's empty. So he says you might want to think about renewing the double yellow lines, which is what made me think, oh yes, I've not even thought about it for now. So that's what made me start
I'm
chasing it.
sure we've got money in the car park budgets that we haven't already earmarked.
No, it seems like we have to do a fairly
Yes, it's extraordinary that, I mean, that whole area is really on a bend. They're either bending one way or the other. I can't believe anyone parks there, but
No,
they do.
I did go out and speak to her, and she said to me, I have difficulty walking. But I just said to her, this is the main entrance to a big car park, and you know, sort of parking where you are at an angle as well, is proving to be difficult for people to get past. So it could just be a one-off, but it did highlight the fact that if we don't double yellow mark it, then it's going to cause problems.
Okay, reluctantly.
So
I'm not sure it's worth trying it,
no?
unless you think that, are there companies that give you quotes in the past for other things?
One of them is,
Try them again.
yeah.
Try them again.
But authorise up to that amount, and if we get it cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So proposal is
I'll second it.
in. All in favour?
You can second it.
Yeah.
Second it.
It's fun.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, and favourite. We're not talking about reindeers.
We've got reindeers in the toilets. We can do both.
Okay, so, again, this is something which lends itself to the regular drainage clearance schedule.
I had it on the original, and I forgot to save it.
Right, I was
I
thinking.
couldn't be bothered this one.
But
yes.
pick that one up.
Every 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. And clearly we're having that new decoration done now, but that'll be, 5 years' time. Do we want it back on our agenda? So another classic.
Yep.
And brilliant that there is a contractor starting very soon, because I did walk past them yesterday and think again,
Yeah,
on the outside, actually on
It
the
does,
inside,
yeah.
they're less traffic.
That's true. He's doing the gutters, isn't he?
no, I've got to get a separate quote in for that. He's not a gutter person. He's decorating outside, and I did speak to Nobby about replacing the guttering, and my words were, it's guttering. It's quite simple and straightforward, isn't it? And Nobby said no, there's lots of angles because of the shape of the building. So So I've got to
definitely
get-
looks.
yeah,
But there's a tree growing on one side, so maybe you'll
lock a few bits up. Yeah. Oh, growing in it.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't think, because I did wonder whether they were worth just cleaning out, but Nobby said he doesn't think so. He thinks they probably need replacing, and I don't think anything's been done to them for, well, certainly not since I've been here.
As we've decided against the major refurb.
So,
so yeah, we now, but we want to bring them up to some kind of standard. So feels part of that to me.
Yeah.
They probably need to clean now before they have the first summer rain, but yeah, get them working well. Get them replaced.
Good.
When do we get the survey? Do we get videos?
Of the drains,
Yeah.
I need to chase that actually, because they never, with these things, the same with the periodic electrical testing, they don't issue the survey until you've paid the bill. Even with people that obviously trust us, they just don't do it. So I need to chase that tomorrow. So the electrical surveys and the drainage one, because I've not seen anything as yet, unless they've sent it to Emma. But I'll check that tomorrow.
Moves us on to the recreation ground, etc. So various little reports there of things which are just ongoing that we've approved in the past, and I don't think I ever walk down to the field now and there isn't someone using the basketball court. In fact, I think it's even better used now than the skateboard park.
No, it is. It's, I would say, almost a constant, but almost constant. It looks very shiny.
Yes, such good money well spent, really.
And every time I've checked it, because I keep expecting to go down there and the net be ripped, because the last time we replaced a net, within 2 weeks, somebody had ripped it. So I keep thinking, but I'm pleasantly surprised to see, and whether it's because there's been more money spent on it and it looks generally a lot better, that people are respecting it. Now, I shouldn't have said that out loud.
No.
But yeah, no, it looks good, and they finished. I thought they'd finished the painting, but they hadn't. So they completed it. She dropped me an email and unexpectedly said, "Oh, we've now completed all of the painting on the thing." So
Looks
yeah,
like it could land
does look
later.
good.
It's great. Perhaps, Lisa, unless you have already done it, you could send them an email and say how very pleased we are with what they've done.
I'll check what email I sent to her, because I think I did say to her, really chuffed with it, but I'll just double check.
That's fine. If you already have, then that's fine. But it's nice to acknowledge when it's
Yeah, definitely.
well done, so. And then the bench. That is a perfect point, isn't it? There's very little.
There's lots of benches everywhere else, but
Yeah.
none of that end. And it's a nice place to sit.
Yeah.
So,
And not only that, the lady that phoned and made it as a suggestion, she said, I'm quite elderly, she said, and I like to have a walk round. And she said, I go to Waitrose, she said, but then as elderly ones, she said, we get a little bit tired. And she said, it'd be really lovely just to be able to sit there for a little bit and watch. And she said, but there's nothing down there. And I said to her, the same as you, to be honest, I'd never even thought about it. But yeah, it's quite a nice place to locate one, really.
Even one on both angles.
Yes, yeah.
That would be two.
Two, good. I think public seating is so undervalued. I think more and more people actually valuing it. And then, recycled plastic is maintenance free.
Yeah.
And
it also looks nice.
it looks
The ones in the
nice.
cemetery
It's
look
heavy,
lovely,
you can't
yeah.
steal it. And people use them.
Well, I don't know, is it a crass thing to do to put on, I don't know, whatever media we're using, asking if there's an opportunity now for some new benches, if anyone wants to put a memorial bench in.
I was thinking that.
I just can't decide whether it's.
I was thinking, could you put something, a nod to, the time of lockdown and now we can sit together or something, or is that just there?
No, I think that's quite
There's another way into it as well, which is the Jubilee. So could you try the Jubilee and say these are Jubilee benches, is that what he stated? And then say, put two together, celebrate that sort of thing, and then also ask if anyone's put any more.
Yeah.
Get a plethora. And we've got about £500 in the budget each year for street furniture, which we never spend. I'm sure we get 2 benches for that, give or take.
I think the last ones I bought were about 350, something like that. per bench.
We got the 2 ones for Di Marianne, they were going in a deal, and they were, they're big benches, they're about 800 for 2.
Yeah.
But then people do drop the price as soon as you buy 2. And 2 together with a pandemic memorial.
Yeah.
And a Jubilee thing. And also asking if other people thought they wanted to get involved would be a good idea.
I mean, it might be something for the town meeting tomorrow to say, we're happy to take suggestions from people for memorial benches. But, they can't all, because if you think, Barnwell Country Park, you can hardly walk for memorial benches. There's so many there, which actually are used less. People sit on the ground or are there to walk, so that they're actually not used very much for sitting, interestingly.
Do we also need to ask for
Wow.
locations?
Yeah,
Because
that's
we've
the
got a
thing.
vague area, haven't we, but
Yeah.
exactly where.
Yeah.
I'll put them on the slides. Benches.
Okay, so are we leaving it that you're going to broach the subject at the annual town meeting, or are we making a decision,
Well, I
anything now?
Ian and Reb were keen to put in our own with the Jubilee and pandemic plaques of some sort.
So we're suggesting 2 benches for now, yeah?
I think us making a start and then broaching it elsewhere, and also locations. See if people have some ideas, but if we get them, we can play around.
So give us some quotes on getting 2 in, please, Lisa. And report back to this resident.
Yep.
That we were delighted by her suggestion.
And can she give us a specific location? It's a good place for her, for her walk back.
I think she was meaning, she said near the entrance at the far end. So
Yeah.
I thought she meant near the basketball court where that entrance is and the dog bin. I thought she meant on that section there where the daffodils were, somewhere there.
I think that's ideal, but exactly whether it's there.
Yeah. But she could have meant that other entrance that's on the other length, couldn't she?
She could, except that's in the shade almost all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's halfway down, isn't it? Rather than she was talking about the far end.
Yeah.
She was talking about the opposite end to the play area. So that, in my mind, that's dead opposite,
Yeah.
isn't
Have
it?
a look at the basketball course.
And between the staff, if you could maybe think of some wording, unless anybody else wants to. Do you want to do wording?
I would think.
We can ask, like I say, we could ask David, what's Jubilee wording?
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing a pandemic one and a Jubilee one.
As a suggestion,
Yeah.
if nobody comes up with anything acceptable, we don't have to do it. But if we could find a nice
I was going
way.
to say you can't call it a pandemic bench because
No.
people might not want to sit on it.
I've seen some around in Kirby or something, they've got sort of benches to chat on, they've mentioned it, there's some clever wording. The Jubilee one is just to commemorate the Queen's.
Yeah,
It feels
that
like
should be easy.
2022, that's
The
easy.
pandemic one feels like it should be, now we can sit together, or now we can,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or even just, now we can sit together, ... 2020 to 20.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly, that's a working title. Right?
yeah.
Yeah. Gave me chills.
Yeah, so 2 benches including plaques.
Mhm.
Thank you. Anything else anyone wants to bring up on those areas?
Skate park. Do you want to
Please.
mention something about that?
Do we?
Emma and I had a good meeting with Russ last week.
Russ being,
Russ being the man from Maverick who Lisa put us in touch with a year or two ago, who started the whole process. He's very positive, he's very optimistic about everything. The broad idea would be to do a formal consultation, which we're going to sort of launch on Thursday night.
okay,
Get the online design board, which is basically a posh Google document out with pictures as far and wide as we can, to as many people as possible. Try and get 50 to 100 responses if we can. Then tweak the design, come and meet people down here, and we put that as part of our funding request, saying,
yeah,
look,
of
we've done
course.
lots of consultation,
Yeah.
we've tweaked the design, etc. He's relatively positive about 2 or 3 funding streams that he talked to Emma about. We've got our Section 106 money. His view was that if things all fall into place, he's also going to put his planning guy in touch with Northwold to talk about the fact that it's under 200 cubic metres and the fact that it's under a certain height and it's just a change and it should be fine and all that sort of stuff. And the idea being that once everything starts getting in a row, get funding applied for, and he wouldn't be surprised if everything went well, as if we might end up with a Christmas present or things just afterwards. That would be not impossible. So Emma, I think, was pleased and convinced, and they're doing a lot of the work. So yeah, it's all good. So the next month is all about consultation, getting feedback from people, and talking to Northwold plans. But they're doing that, which is great.
Excellent.
Just while on the skate park, I seem to spend a huge amount of time down there at the moment, and it's really nice seeing kids of all ages using it, from very young who are just running up and down to kids on their skateboards or whatever. My only thing was that obviously you've got access underneath quite a few of the ramps. There's quite a lot of broken glass and things like that under there, and I don't know if that is on anybody's radar in terms of responsibility for clear up, or
It should be on our weekly checks.
right, okay.
Yeah, it should be done. And
But I've just noticed it a couple of times,
Yeah.
and it just kind of makes me go.
Okay, I'll mention it to the boys.
If it wasn't that we were going through the process of getting it redesigned and what have you, I'd say, why couldn't you just put cladding on the side of it? But I think that's mute in terms of development.
Yeah, okay.
Excellent. So Snipe Meadow continues at its extraordinarily slow pace.
Oh,
So,
they collected the pasture pump yesterday,
All right.
so I haven't been down there yet.
I was starting to think you were going to have it fitted in that office. It's been there so long.
oh, it's a wash pump, isn't it?
It was,
You
yeah.
can pump it with it.
They collected it yesterday, and so I believe, but I haven't had a chance to go down there. It should be done, so I'll endeavour to get down there tomorrow morning, just double check that, and then I'll contact Bruce and say to him, can we have our cows now, please?
So it's all the fencing done.
The fencing's been done for quite some
Yeah.
time. It was just
New notice.
the 2 new posts to help the wobbly gate. They needed doing in the pasture pump, so they've hopefully been done now.
Good.
Yes, so
How many cows there before I leave?
I know.
Can I use the word, the verb cowed?
Cowed. Yeah.
Cowed.
I didn't like it.
It's,
Yeah.
it's already.
But I mean, obviously cowed exists.
Get cowed up.
To get cowed up, that's brilliant.
Cowed up.
Preferably probably with sort of a Texas accent, I think.
I've got my chaps on for that.
Excellent. Okay, so trees. And I wondered if we might
Make a decision.
make a decision.
Yeah,
It's
because we
literally
need to
what I
get the
wrote.
order in, don't we, really?
Because November will come around before we do it.
Well, what I've actually, my note actually says, how can we get to a decision on this?
I suspect all of the rugby club land is not as treeable as we might have hoped, so we might have to get some in. But I think big avenues and so on and so forth are probably maybe not going to happen, particularly with these with car parking coming in at some point. So I think we should make a decision based on us that we can get some into the rugby club, but not a huge amount. If that helps us, aren't we?
So some locations are agreed, as I understand it, for small individual bits and pieces.
They've gone in, haven't they?
They've already
Those,
gone
yeah,
in,
they've
haven't
already gone in.
So with the trees, then we are only talking about a mass plantation that we had hoped for at the rugby club.
That's what we thought, that's the idea. I was under the impression everybody wanted to happen. But then as Ian's just said, was there a report from someone that said certain trees are definitely not suitable for down there because of water issues?
There was a report on the Jubilee Wood. There's been some conversation about that, and some of the stuff that's on the planting, including some firs, were a good idea. But I don't think firs are going to be a good idea. We do have this guy who's been the landscape architect for Peterborough City Council, who lives in Outdoor, who's happy to give us some advice. So he talked about hornbeams and other things, but we need to know where they're going for him to give a definite decision, and we don't know where they're going yet. So we're sort of in the catch-22. I think some of the land that Paul was talking about at the rugby club, he was wondering whether it's actually in their lease or not. I'm not sure what the solution to that is. So whether we just continue to hold until we get a definite answer, or whether we just take a leap of faith, get some and find somewhere to put them.
That doesn't feel like how you spend public money to me, but it's trying to get Paul to tell us. Even if the answer's no.
We're talking about delivery in November, aren't we?
Yeah.
And what's
So
the
I
minimum
think,
order?
so perhaps if we said to him, we have to know how long's reasonable in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not going to
We might
use that
miss the window of
space.
opportunity, yeah.
Just a quick question, these are free trees, aren't they? These free trees? Are they
Yes,
purchased?
in the information that's on their website, they said if you can't wait or your application is unsuccessful, you can buy packs in our shop all year round.
Yeah,
So we
grow
can
around.
buy some trees if we want, but this is the free trees that ages ago everybody really
And
wanted.
what's the minimum number we can get?
I don't know, actually, because I've not clicked on it any further than just the initial information.
30 sapling pack will cover around one tennis court. We've got enough flats, 30 saplings, so maybe we put them on flat field. I'll put them in a garden somewhere.
Well, if they're free, I hadn't understood that they.
No, these ones are free, I think.
Oh, okay.
And if we apply for them and they're not, that they're gone, then we just wait until we have a definite answer. I'd say if we can get a group of 30 trees, saplings for free, we can find 30 places.
That's-
Even if it's on some more of our public
Exactly.
spaces,
Even
yeah.
if you end up advertising for people to put them in their own gardens,
Mm.
it's still trees in outdoor.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
which can't be a bad thing.
So let's give Lisa the authority to go ahead and
Apply for
order
30.
one pack. But in the meantime, do the rugby club to give us an answer.
Yeah, because that'll be the prime place for it.
And if it, as I say, if it's no, then we know that we've got to start looking for other sites.
But then the pressure off us now.
So, yeah. would you be able to give us an answer, Lisa, in the next 2 weeks? Oh, before the next estates meeting.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to give up on the rugby fund.
Yeah.
I just think at some point you just have to, really. And start looking for other locations.
Yep.
Thank you for the next one.
Can I just keep some pens?
Brilliant. Prince William
So a
School
quick
of
question, Lisa, there's the packs come in a variety of different, so wild harvest, year round colour, working wood. If I just ask this ex-Peter guy for
Yeah.
which bundle might be most suited to most places around our area, it comes up with one.
We want one that's, versatile, don't we,
So
really?
it
So,
can
yeah.
go somewhere else. Will do.
Prince William School requested permission. Oh, we've done that one then. We did that last time, didn't we? I remember.
I'm still waiting for the tree surgeon. I've chased him quite a few times. Tree officer, sorry, yeah. The tree
Oh,
surgeon.
yeah, I can't get hold of him at the moment though.
Yeah, I know he's incredibly busy. I mean, normally he does respond to my emails quite quickly, but so I think he's a bit snowed under at the minute. But
Okay.
when did I last chase him? I don't want to really hassle him. 21st. Yeah, I'll give him a few more days.
I've been down and looked, and it's alive, it's grown. So it said that it's a possible preventative measure, but it seems relatively happy at the moment.
So it's not an emergency. Okay, very good. Projects workshop, just to report that's done. Charging points, hard not to yawn.
They were approved, weren't they? The animal one was approved, but then.
In a way.
They won't go ahead.
Yes. That's a strange thing that was. What a strange thing. I thought, it's just a wheeze to be able to actually reconsider where they are going to put them and put them where we first thought where we would prefer, without them having to say that's the reason. Oh dear. Okay, so right then, excellent news on quotes. So you've got 3 quotes, and one of those I think we prefer. Was that? I don't
The
remember seeing
27th.
3. Is
The
it?
well-
I remember
the well-
seeing 2.
No, you should have seen 3.
Oh, have we? Okay.
Yeah,
Two, whether then an extra one came.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I just don't remember that one then. Yeah.
But it was more expensive than the first expensive one. So we sort of, Ian had proposed, hadn't he, to carry forward the underspend.
Yeah.
But the way it was phrased on the last meeting, we didn't actually approve Weldon Stone and the amount, so it's just got to be signed off in the next full council meeting. So in the meantime, I've just gone back to her and said, because it's obviously a fair amount of time's passed since the quote was provided. So I've been back and they've confirmed they'll hold that price.
Okay.
And they've penciled us in to start the work on the 20-something of May.
Okay, so it'll be just after the next.
So as long
council
as the
meeting.
next full council meeting, it just gets, everybody's happy with it then.
So do we need to formally recommend that that's what the estates committee say, go ahead with Weldon Stone on May the 20th?
Yeah, well, I've given it to Emma to put on full council, so if you just contact her and say how you want to word it.
I say, do we need to say that we've approved it and then full council then just nodding what we've approved in effect?
Yeah, because we
I
didn't
think
talk
we've already
about,
done
well,
that.
we didn't talk about the specific quote at full council. All we talked about, as I remember, was the
The
idea
principle,
of
yeah.
using the money.
Yeah,
You understand?
I think Emma's point was then we need to say, brilliant, we should use the underspend
And
to
this is
go
who we're
with
going
this quote.
Yeah.
And then full council to get that recommendation, say,
Yeah.
tiddly boo, let's
Okay,
do it,
yeah.
well done.
Yeah.
So our recommendation is Weldon Stone for the full council to approve expenditure of 60,000, whatever it was, I can't remember.
27.
27.
It's a way to make it sound great, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's 27. Okay, now we come to our favourite subject, other than reindeer. Jones Strong Centre.
Can we just touch on the cemetery?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry, is that ahead of there? Yes, it is. I do apologise.
Only because I've done my another little video down at the cemetery, which is rather pleasant actually. I think a couple of people are now interested in the Warden's thing, so fingers crossed. I might be interested in it actually. It's very nice down there. But also, I noticed when I left that the wall on Stoke Doyle down towards that end is sort of bulging, and so I suspect we might need to look at the cemetery wall next year.
I think when we did the estates tour, we noted it then as well, so it's not as if it's unknown.
Yeah,
But,
no.
But we're
yeah,
on
Yeah.
a 2023 wall schedule.
I think we're going to spend enough on walls this year, so it's going to have to be for another year. But yes, to remember for the next budget, and that's exactly why this can be so useful. Exactly. So very good. That's the one for there. Okay, well, good luck with your recruitment for the cemetery wardens. It's good. That does come on. Okay, so Reb, we're relying on you to have read the letter from the solicitor, because Ian and I have both done our best.
We need to read it and understand it.
Yeah, I was able to read the words. I'll admit, I could read the words. You see, what I wondered, Lisa, was whether the letter to the solicitor specifically asked them whether that clause that we had identified in that sort of summary of the regulations that we had reviewed before, whether the letter to the solicitor had specifically said, could we get round it by having the tenants agree they don't need the work done? Because I don't feel that they address that specific thing. But because I never saw the letter that went to them with so I don't know what instruction they were given. They were just given an instruction to explain EPC ratings and and leases. Then I'm sure that that's what they've done. But because we had that idea, didn't we, that we talked about, that there was a possibility in our reading of that lovely leaflet, that there was a possibility that we might be able to give them 5 years with their agreement that nothing was needed to do, which was going to be thought by time to consider what the longer term future of the Johnstone Centre and place for scouting is in Arundel. But he hasn't mentioned that at all.
Okay, it was Emma that emailed him, so I'll have to speak to Emma.
Yeah.
I'll have a quick.
Because I think one reading of his email is that we seem to be doing something.
Yeah.
But the other reading is that he hasn't said that doesn't exist.
No.
Which is pretty important.
Yeah.
I don't know if the implication is we can do something, or whether we have to do everything, even if it doesn't make a difference. That could be a terrible, a waste of money, but that key point seems untouched.
There's a lot of words.
Maybe you haven't really helped there.
Sorry.
You were supposed to come with the incisive laser-like analysis.
Because his point 2, the landlord can claim a legitimate
Exactly.
reason not to do so, and this has been validly registered on the PRS exemption register. But he doesn't say a valid reason for not doing it is that the tenant has agreed you don't need to do it. He never discusses that further down in the letter. So we kind of knew to already, it's just,
Is this the
Yeah.
legitimate reason?
can we use that as a legitimate reason, quoting that leaflet? I mean, obviously not to the PRS, not public rights.
I know, that's honestly, no, it would be interesting to know exactly what the exemptions are on that register, which this is just,
Well, he does give us
he
some,
does, but it's not,
but none that we can use.
no.
Given we don't have an existing
But if we had
99-year lease.
If we had to put a tick next to a box that this is
Yeah.
why we're exempt,
Yeah.
it would be good to see
That's,
that register.
How long is our lease?
Expired.
Or how long was that?
99 years?
Wow, I'm sure.
No.
it might be.
I know it definitely is expired, and it
Yes,
was
yeah.
It was either, it wasn't terribly long, I think last time.
No, I don't think it was. I'm just reading the email where I forwarded it to you. His response, Emma's email is attached. Original email is attached.
Oh, okay.
I think we just got his response.
In the case of a landlord will have a 5-year period in which it may grant new lettings or continue new existing lettings, even though the property is substandard. For more information on the exemptions register, see practice note blah.
Where are you reading that?
So it's the second paragraph up from the end. So it starts with, in the case of the second two bullet points.
Yeah, so maybe that is.
So for 5 years, you're fine.
Yeah, and we always
Yeah.
knew it was only going to be 5 years. That's what this leaflet had told us. So we always knew it was going to be a possible 5 years grace. So it's whether that paragraph, have you got the letter open or are you looking still?
I found it here.
Yeah.
So the question is, I also attached a copy of the document. In it, he mentioned, it must be me, third-party exemption. Can you tell me if this is something we could look into? So once the scouts agree, we can continue with the lease.
Oh, right, okay.
Carry.
Yeah, so she
So
should ask the question.
Specifically
Yeah.
ask that. And he hasn't that's the closest he gets to his reply without,
It's
yeah,
a hint.
yeah. I mean, referring us to the PRS exemptions register, see practice note any, there. No, we paid you for advice. The rest of it, I think, is irrelevant to us. It's only whether, as we say, so if we could clarify with the solicitor, James Stewart, if we could clarify with him that specific point that Emma asked, does that fall into that paragraph? In which case, we've taken legal advice and we know they'll be up for it because they're not bothered. So that would then give us that 5-year breathing space. And if during that time we feel that we want it to be brought up to standard, fine. But when we haven't budgeted for that, and the way public finance works, you can't. And once you don't get any money, and then you're told you've got to do things. And by the way, I've done this. Did you get that, Lisa?
Yes, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so thank you, Rev, for pointing out that paragraph, which I spent very carefully on. And brilliant that we've got Emma's email to say we did actually literally ask that question. So, okay, so ongoing with that, markets were attended. Okay. None of us have anything to say on markets, I see. Town events. Update report. Oh, you said slow uptake. What does that mean?
Just
From who?
Traders.
Is that for the market?
This is for the bit during the day.
Yeah.
I need to have a look at it tomorrow and work through it. I've not really had time to be chasing them at the minute, but I mean it's not unusual. You quite often with the Christmas market, people be definitely, and then you're forever chasing them for the application form and the fee.
Oh, okay.
And because of the way that we want the market to be, i.e. not bringing in lots of external traders but making it a town event, I'm not too worried about it, but I just don't want it to be really sparse and, people come expecting it to be wall-to-wall market stores like the Christmas market and being disappointed, which is why we tweaked.
It's only a month, isn't it, really?
Yeah. I mean, these things do, when I first started organising the Christmas market, I used to have lots of panic attacks.
Yeah.
But you do kind of get used to the fact that some people are very organised and get it all organised right at the beginning, and other people just don't. So, yeah, I'll be looking at that tomorrow in quite some detail.
Excellent. And then hard start, request to use a room. That was a little letter on the documents. Yes, that's right, it was a little bit vague.
Which is only very like to probably ask in the future.
We get these, don't we, from organisations?
I think Hard Start's idea is they're now linked to first responders. I have to have first responders about the grant application, which I'll report back to you. But they're keen for us to help in any way, shape or form, and I suppose we have rooms, they need rooms, we want to encourage first aid training, and there'll probably be a broader base of training than just our staff now, because it'll be being done through the first responders. So we should probably say that we like the idea, but we wait to see details.
I think if Val was here, I know exactly what she'd say. We never give rooms for free. So I think that it is encouraging them to put in a grant application which will cover their costs for renting the rooms in the way that anybody else would, but that we would look favourably upon a grant application. Yeah.
I think that's a really sensible way of doing it.
That's the detail.
No, just,
You know, absolutely 100% to support what they're doing, and I think it's an amazing place to be able to serve that properly. You're right. If you can do
it does look like money going round in circles, but then everyone is treated the
Yeah,
same.
absolutely. No, it's very sensible.
So, all right, Lisa,
Mhm.
thank you. So we encourage them to put in a grant application, but we would make a charge for the use of rooms. They're welcome to include that in their grant application. Excellent. Any other business, Rob?
No.
Ian?
A little one, but I think because I just typed in PRS exemption register, and it's how you register that you don't need to do the work in the building. So the government website number 7 is the consent exemption.
Excellent.
So it sounds like he might be saying that that's fine, without
So it's
saying.
so if he could give us specific advice on using the consent exemption
Which is number 7.
in the formation of our next lease. Are they the people who will write the lease? Is that the solicitors we use for leases? I think not.
No.
So, yeah, so.
I'm
I
currently
think we'll
looking
ask them
into
the
prices
advice
from
on
other
that. The
solicitors.
advice from them
Yeah.
on how to use that specific
Consent
exemption, and then we'll send that to whoever writing the lease, or, well, run it past the
So
guys.
it's regulation 36 brackets 2. Just if you want
But that's what we
fun
need.
reference.
It is,
Yeah,
thank
we
you,
can
thank you.
come back with
Thank you,
regulations.
yes.
But apart from that, then,
Then we can create our own solicitors first.
it's necessary.
Okay, nothing else from me, anything else from you, Lisa?
Nope. Is everything?
Okay, perhaps you might like to get the clock.
Well, it's right somewhere.
Yeah,
Somewhere it might almost be.
Oh, well, it's still working. That's a bonus, because the 2 most recent clocks that I purchased for this building have stopped working, and it's not the battery. It's this building. It literally, yeah.
Clocks in. Anything that's taken more than a set at a time. What?
now I'm thinking of not renewing my lease, actually.